Good morning, everyone, or good afternoon to some of you. This is Mrs. Cafiero. Today, we are going to have a pre recorded lesson. I'm feeling a little bit under the weather, so I just wanted to make sure we still cover today's topic. So, today we are continuing and really finishing talking about westward expansion. So the standard for today is still the same standard that we've been working on, A.4.1, where we're examining the causes, course, and consequences of westward expansion of the United States. And we're going to talk about how manifest destiny influenced the westward expansion. So we talked about manifest destiny previously. We're going to continue talking about it again today. So the two very famous trails that people followed whenever they wanted to move out west were the Oregon Trail and the Santa Fe Trail. The most famous one being the Oregon Trail. Many settlers moved to Oregon country, remember the territory that we gained under President Polk, and other western areas followed. It was a 2,000-mile long trail which stretched from places such as Independence, Missouri, and Council Bluffs, Iowa, west into Oregon. It crossed the Rocky Mountains, but once it did that, it forked into two paths. The northern branch would lead to Willamette Valley in Oregon. The other branch went to California and later became known as the California Trail. The Santa Fe Trail was another important path. It went from Independence, Missouri to Santa Fe, New Mexico. American traders often would load their wagons with cloth and other manufactured goods to exchange for horses, mules, and silver from Mexican traders that were in Santa Fe, New Mexico. So here you can see is a map that shows you all of the different trails that were taken. The yellow one here, that's the Oregon Trail. That's the most famous. And then the blue one is the Santa Fe Trail. And then you can see, as we're going to talk about in a couple minutes, the Mormon Trail as well that we're going to discuss today. So these are all the different trails that were taken. And you can see that they all pretty much started in the same area right around the Mississippi River, and they moved out west. So, for your first check for understanding, this is really just so you can quiz yourself. What was the name of the most famous trail for those traveling west? If you said Oregon Trail, you are correct. All right, the next thing we're going to talk about is the California Gold Rush. In January 1848, gold was discovered in the Sierra Nevada mountains. And in 1849, about 8,000 gold seekers came to California via those trails that we just looked at, hoping to strike it rich. These gold seeking migrants to California were often called the 49ers. With the large influx of people coming into California, places called boom towns sprang up all over California. A boom town is a community that undergoes a very sudden and rapid population growth and economic growth. So places like San Francisco, before the gold rush, they were pretty rural. But then once gold was found and a huge influx of people came in, that's when San Francisco just completely exploded and had a huge population. And here you can see this is a picture of people during the gold rush era. They are searching for gold, and here is what a gold nugget actually looks like. So the lure of gold in California attracted miners from all over the world, not just Americans, but also immigrants from other countries. Excuse me, there were immigrants that were from China that were known as the Travelers to Gold Mountain. Between 1849 and 1853, about 24,000 Chinese men moved to California. However, they soon discovered that they weren't actually welcome. And in 1852, California placed a very specific tax of $20 a month on all foreign miners, not domestic, just people from other countries. And a large amount of these were Chinese people. This was more than many of the Chinese miners could actually afford. So many of them left the mining behind and opened their own businesses. And in San Francisco specifically, they would open a lot of businesses in a specific area. And it became a community known as Chinatown, which is still known today. And here you can see Chinese immigrants working alongside others for the searching for gold. All right, for your next check for understanding question, What was found in California in the 1840s to cause a huge influx of settlers into the area? If you said gold, you are correct. It was the gold rush. All right, the last group of people that we're going to talk about are the Mormons. So in 1830, a young man named Joseph Smith founded the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter day Saints in Western New York. The members of this church became known as Mormons. Mormons were often persecuted for their beliefs because a lot of people were what you would call classic Christians, where they were Roman Catholic or they were Protestant, and they had a very specific set of beliefs. And so when this new church was founded with new ideals, they really didn't like that. So Mormons were continuously trying to escape persecution and violence and moved west constantly. Excuse me. So they started in New York. They went from New York to Ohio to Missouri and then to Illinois. In Illinois, the community collapsed after an anti Mormon mob murdered Smith in 1844. Following his murder, a new person, Bingham Young, became the head of the Mormon church. And he chose once again to leave, and they settled in what is present day Utah. Now, the trail that they took to travel west from one place to another is often called the Mormon Trail, and they finally settled in the area near the Great Salt Lake, as we saw on the map previously. In here, you can see a group of Mormons that are traveling west. This is what they looked like when they traveled together with their families. For your next check for understanding, this was a little bit of a critical thinking. What were the Mormons trying to escape each time they moved further west? If you said violence and persecution, you are correct. Remember that they had a whole new church, whole new set of ideals, and classical Christians didn't really like that. So they often would try and push the Mormons out, and they often did this through violence. So the Mormons were trying to escape that. All right, now for the video, I'm not going to play it right now. I am going to upload these slides for you into the Google Classroom so you have access to them so you can watch the video on your own. It does move a little bit further ahead than we've talked about with westward expansion, but it does a really good job of explaining to you how the idea of westward expansion started with the Louisiana Purchase all the way to the California Gold Rush. And it does address manifest destiny in this video as well. So please make sure that you do watch the video on your own time. Now, for your assignment for today, let me go ahead and pull that up. Just give me 1 second. All right, so for your assignment for today, you're going to read a little bit more about the California Gold Rush. You're going to read about 2 pages worth of information. And then on the last page, you have some check for understanding questions to answer, some comprehension questions. You can use Cami to write in your answers, or you can simply copy and paste the questions onto a Google Doc and just type your answers on a Google Doc. That's okay too. I'll make both available to you. Okay. For the questions, they're pretty straightforward. Pretty much all the answers are in the reading. There may be 1 or 2 critical thinking questions, but it should be just fine. If you find you have any questions as you are working, please email me and I will help you as quickly as possible.